How's it going, Yankee fans? Welcome back to Fireside Yankees with your boys, Alex and Ryan. Are you doing good? I know you're not. Yesterday's game, demolition job, 14-1. It was like watching them blow up an entire team with dynamite. That was so many games like this season. We've watched way too many absolute demolition blowouts to be convinced that this team is a championship caliber roster. I mean, for God's sakes, we're in peril with Jake Bauers getting hurt. Like, we love Jake. We called that one. He's been solid for us. A good reserve depth piece. Is he a starter? No, he's not that good of a defender. He's a decent offensive piece. Losing him is a travesty because he's an everyday starter for us right now. The Yankees need to make moves, and unfortunately, we have a couple weeks before that is likely to happen. Today, we're talking about major pitching problems. Today, we get Carlos Rodon back. Certainly a positive, but Luis Severino, this guy is headed towards the abyss. This guy is headed towards Siberia and Russia somewhere, because right now, I cannot really put into words how disappointed we all are, because Sevy, we love Sevy. Such a good guy. When he's on, he's a freaking thrill to watch. Tremendous pitcher. Unfortunately, he's been a shell of himself. He's been a hermit crab. He's been a crustacean. Unfortunately, we now have to figure out a way out of this. What is the alternative? Is Luis Severino going to be a bullpen piece moving forward? Is he going to be off the rotation? Can he recover himself? Interestingly, Ryan, his pitches don't look bad. Like, if you actually look at the spin rates, the break of it all of his pitches, the velocity, it doesn't indicate he should be as bad as he is. It's simply based on lack of confidence and bad location. I think those are the two variables working against him right now. The way he's talking, he has no faith in himself. He has no faith in any of his pitches. Right now, we're going to describe kind of what's going on. I'm going to detail break down the numbers for you guys and what the future holds for Severino if he can't pick things up, because right now they're going to have to make a decision. And if we're being honest here, the age of Sevy is probably over after the season. They signed him to a $15 million club option this past offseason, and I can't sit here and tell you that he's going to be a player on this Yankee team any longer, because we needed to see something. Maybe they bring him back on a really cheap deal and just have him compete. That's the best case scenario, but like, we need reliability, and unfortunately he's not, Ryan. But before we dive into the good stuff, or rather the bad stuff, how you do today, my friend?
Yeah, this sucks. Luis Severino came up, obviously came up in 2015 and then had that big, he didn't have a great 2016, but 2017, he breaks out and becomes, one of the best pitchers, not just in the American League, not just on the Yankees, but in all of baseball, right? Unbelievable fastball, great command, workhorse, instantly became my favorite Yankee. Back then I'm a seventh grader watching the Yankees. I'm like, yeah, this dude rocks. Like, I love this guy. I'm Dominican. My parents are Dominican. So, a Dominican born pitcher coming up and being a superstar, like, you're just like, as a kid, that's like the coolest thing in the world. You want to just be like Luis Severino as a kid when you're watching that. But unfortunately, injuries and his body has betrayed him, right? Like, again, his four-seam fastball is bad. Like, it's a bad pitch now. 16.1 inches of induced vertical break is not going to get it done. That is a dead zone fastball, guys. That's not good enough. It's not. He doesn't get any, significant arm side or glove side, or he doesn't get any significant arm side movement that makes it a unique pitch either. So really, we're talking about a very basic fastball. And these type of fastball pitch shapes are the one that get absolutely hammered. If you look at Stuff Plus models, these are the fastballs that you typically will see getting blitzed. And another issue is, that's the pitch he's using by a significant margin the most. He's using it at a 54.2% clip. He uses this pitch a ton. And, there's going to be conversation about whether that's a pitch calling issue or whatever. But, is it a pitch calling issue? The way I view it, that's the pitch he has the most comfort throwing. Is he going to get hurt throwing a bunch of sliders? Who knows, right? It feels like he's not capable of being the pitcher he was before. I have no faith in him. I have no confidence in him. It sucks to say this. Again, I am a huge Luis Severino fan. And I'm not going to sit here and second guess the decision to pick up that club option. I think that was an obvious move. But it hasn't worked out, right? Like, when you keep getting hurt, things like this are going to happen. I know his first two starts, he looked amazing. So it's like, what happened, right? He was throwing 99 miles an hour on average. You're like, okay, yeah, this guy's back. Like, this guy's here. If you would have told me after start two that Luis Severino's ERA would be 7, I'd be like, what happened? Is he hurt? Like, according to him, he's fine. I don't believe him. I don't believe that he's fine. I don't believe everything's okay. I believe something's wrong. Or, in a weird, twisted sense, you kind of hope something's wrong, because if this is what he is when he's healthy, he's cooked. He's bad. He should never be on the Yankees again. He's not going to be a guy you ever want in your rotation again. I don't know if he has a long-term future as a starter in any rotation. And it sucks to say that. It really does, but that's the reality of it. The Yankees need to win games. Guys, they're tied with the Blue Jays in the loss column to be out of a playoff spot. So if the Blue Jays win today and the Yankees lose, the Yankees will be out of a playoff spot. We're not in a situation where we're talking about think about the postseason, just weather the storm. We can take them out of the rotation come the playoffs. Nah, you need to win games. You need a starter. Like, I can't believe we're sitting here and saying this. Do you know how much, the Yankees have invested in that starting pitching core for them to need another starter? We don't even know what Cortez is. What if Cortez comes back and he bombs? Do you need two starters? I don't know what else to say. We're talking about, Jake Bauers is hurt. Now, I think he had like the best WRC plus in the active roster. Maybe outside of like Rizzo, because I know Rizzo's really good start, kind of carries that WRC plus right now. But just think about that. I mean, your best hitter is like some dude you picked off up on a minor league deal, and you called up only because Aaron Judge got hurt in Texas. What do we really say here? Again, I've kept this consistent. The season's not over if the Yankees are in a playoff spot. Like that's just the reality of it. And the season's not over until the Yankees are either eliminated or they win it all. And end of the day, that's how I view it. But man, like, do you want me to sit here and tell you there's a lot of confidence that this team is going to go out and beat the Texas Rangers, the Tampa Bay Rays, the Atlanta Braves in a playoff series? Like, the Yankees are going to, like, look at their left field room, look at their starting pitching room, right? There's not a lot of competition for guys to feel like they're losing their jobs, right? I don't think they're going to be aggressive and try to have Brito or Vasquez start Severino's place and give them a chance to win, right? I don't think they're going to, call up a Pereira and try to be exciting and try to have a guy with high upside. They're just going to call up Franchy Cordero, right? So, if you're Luis Severino, not saying Luis Severino's content, but if you're Luis Severino, right, you just got to have to go out there and figure it out, even though you're not going to probably figure it out. If you're Isaiah kind of Fluffy, you got to figure out how to play left field, even though you're not a left fielder, or throw, I can't even imagine Franchy Cordero out in left field. Like, we know these players aren't good and we're going to keep playing them. What do you want me to feel?
I mean, look, the truth is that I live on the 16th floor and I'd rather fling my lifeless body out of the window than watch Franchy Cordero play another inning of baseball for the Yankees. Look, people will reference the AAA numbers. We've certainly done it in the past, mainly because we had no other choice. But Franchy Cordero is a bad MLB player. Like, I'd rather give opportunities to a youngster like Everson Pereira, objectively. Like, it's not even a question. I'd rather give opportunities to a youngster with upside, a guy that may be a solution. I mean, look at Ezekiel Duran, a guy we traded. Give guys opportunities. Maybe they rise to the occasion. Maybe they end up being good MLB players. Running it back with bad MLB players is literally a recipe for failure. And continuously, the Yankees love recipes for failure. It's just hard to witness sometimes. But Severino, man, I have faith he can turn it around. He is a good pitcher when he's at the top of his game. He is showing good velocity. It's the dead balls. It's the lack of location, the lack of confidence. And this is what he had to say after yesterday's performance. He said, right now, they're just hitting the ball everywhere. I feel well prepared mentally. I go out there to compete, and then all of a sudden, on 3 or 4 innings, I'm out of the game. He said it, right? Like, it's bad. I've never been this bad of a pitcher my whole life. It's a little tough to get my head around that. You tell me, does that sound like a guy that's confident in himself right now? He literally is like, this is the worst I've ever been. Like, objectively, it's the worst I've ever performed. When you're in that type of mental space, it's hard to come back from. They need this all-star break so bad. They need this mental reset. They need him to come out with a fresh slate and put together good performances, because otherwise the Yankees are now another hole down. There's another gaping hole they have to fill, and it's going to be unsustainable. Like, I can't keep filling these with trade deadline moves and running through their farm system to find guys who are on expiring contracts. Is not sustainable. This is a bad look at the Baltimore Orioles, guys. Like, they were on a little bit of a cold streak, but you see those young guys like Henderson and Adley Rutschman and some of these guys. I mean, Cedric Mullins a little bit older, but still, there's a lot of guys on that team that are just tremendous prospects. I know a lot of them are like first-round picks, like high first-round picks, but the Yankees have good quality prospects. We just don't use them. We just don't give them chances to prove their worth. There's no reason that Jake Bauers or Billy McKinney, who have been career awful players, Franchy Cordero, career awful players, that these youngsters can't come up and make the similar impact or do exactly what they do, but they have a lot more upside. I just don't really get that kind of narrative right now. Back to Luis Severino for a second. He's given up 19 hits and 14 earned runs in his last 2 starts, guys. He might be one of the worst starting pitchers in the game right now. Like 5.20 xFIP. You just don't. I mean, look. He has the highest walk rate in his entire career. He's giving up the most home runs in his entire career, and he has his worst strikeout rate in his entire career. You tell me. That's an equation for failure. Ryan, why do you think the walks are up? Like, that's one thing that I know you hate walks. Why is Severino suddenly, walking more batters? Like, what is going on with his pitches that he can't get those strikes down? Like, the aggression's not there. He's not, and when he does throw it in the strike zone, they're hitting it off of him. So, like, what's going on there? Is it just a lack of location, lack of confidence? I'm trying to figure it out myself.
I think it's a lack of chases. Like, again, you typically, you got to be able to get, batters to expand out of the strike zone, and they're not. Like, they are very much not doing that because, again, he doesn't have, like, his pitch arsenal is not what it was before. If you're a hitter, you're not nearly as fooled about with Severino's pitches as you were, last year. I can't even begin to try to imagine how you fix this. Because a lot of these struggles, like, this is a guy coming off of so many injuries. Like, what is the fix here? He doesn't get whiffs. He doesn't get chases. He doesn't have great command. He gets hammered. Like, what is the fix here? I don't know. I don't know what the fix is. I think the fix, I think we have such a large sample size now of him pitching horribly. You got to shut it down. Like, we need to win games, man. The Yankees didn't have a chance to win yesterday. You can talk about all the offenses and score. They didn't have a chance to win. They didn't have a chance. There was no chance. The game was over in the third inning. I mean, you referenced kind of the Orioles here, and I get it. Yes, they tanked for 5 years to get into the spot where they are right now. But the Yankees have a distinct financial advantage over every team in their division. You can get any player you want. You can keep any player you want. You can extend any player you want. And I don't remember when did the Dodgers rebuild for 10 years at some point in my lifetime? Because I'm looking at the playoff resume since 2013. They've won the division like every year except for one in my lifetime. Not my lifetime, but like the last 10 years. Where's the rebuild there? How they keep getting good players. Corey Seager, he wasn't drafted during a rebuild year. They didn't acquire Cody Bellinger in a rebuild year. Walker Buehler wasn't picked in a rebuild year. Like, how do they keep getting good players? How do they keep drafting good players? Which guy on the Rays is a top 5 draft pick? Which guy in the Rays is a top 10 draft pick? Shane McClanahan picked in the later half of the first round. Tyler Glasnow, savvy trade. Shane Baz, savvy trade. Jeffrey Springs, savvy trade. I don't think Taj Bradley was a high first round pick either. Might have a first rounder, but it's not like these guys are being selected with picks that the Yankees don't have access to. I'm pretty sure the Yankees did pass on Shane McClanahan. They could have selected Shane McClanahan. They didn't. I'm not saying that, the Yankees not having Shane McClanahan is like why they're not good, right? But my point more so is, I think they're a better drafting team now than they were 5 years ago. But as you mentioned, like, where are these guys? Like, I do prospect reports every week. There are 5 or 6 guys I talk about at least between AA and AAA that have impressed me. And I they're not here. I saw his tweet. Austin Wells is 24 in 6 days. He's still in AA. Anthony Volpe went through all of AA, played in AAA, made his major league debut, had a batting stance change, figured out his defense all in the time span that Austin Wells is still stuck in AA while he's hitting. I mean, what do you want me to say? What do you want us to say? I feel like we're at a point with this team. They're old. They're injured a lot. We're sitting here every week. We have an episode where we're talking about a guy who's out of nowhere regressing. Either it's LeMahieu one week, it's Stanton another week, it's Donaldson this week, it's Rizzo that week, it's Severino this week. Early in the season it was Cortez. Why are these guys not performing? Why are these guys? Why do we have so many guys who are like 35 and injured all the time? Or in Severino's case, he's 29, but he's injured all the time. Carlos Rodon comes back today. That's great. That's awesome. We still can't hit. Severino's still in the rotation, we didn't have a 5th starter for about a month. You know what I'm saying? We haven't had a 5th starter since Cortez got hurt. Like, this is a rotation that is like the 2nd most expensive or 3rd most expensive rotation in the league. And also you traded a top 100 prospect and other prospects to get Frankie Montas. JP Sears would be a better pitcher than everyone in this rotation outside of Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon right now. Think about that. I mean, that sucks. That's terrible. That's a bad spot to be in. We shouldn't be sitting here every other week talking about, different guys that regress. I don't even think we're like a negative podcast. We want to sit here and talk about how good these guys are. My favorite episodes are when we get to sit here and talk about like IKF bouncing back. That's an awesome episode to do. Do you think I want to sit here and talk about how Luis Severino is pitching well? That's one of my favorite Yankees, really of all time. I love the guy. This is the core I grew up watching. How many guys from that 2017 team are still here? You know what I'm saying? So it's what? Judge, right? Like Gleyber was 2018, Severino's 2017, Hicks is gone, Sanchez is gone. Trying to just think. I mean, that core's gone. It's all gone. The baby bombers, that's over. Severino's kind of like the last link outside of Judge there. Hitting on Judge is a massive success. I'm not downplaying that. But man, we're watching we're watching a team that we felt like excitement and hope for and thought that team would win a title together. We're watching them disintegrate. And we're seeing this next crop of prospects. Again, we're going to watch Franchy Cordero play right field tonight. Or we're going to watch, I don't even know if we're going to watch Florida, right? We're going to watch Franchy Cordero play right field for the Yankees tonight. And we're going to have to sit there and tell ourselves, well, he's on the 40-man. It's the right move. Screw that. I hate that. I hate watching boring players who aren't very good and have no upside. I want to watch players that get me excited. If this team loses in the playoffs, but Everson Pereira's in the lineup, Austin Wells in the lineup, you feel like you found some direction with Severino, Volpe's there, one of Brito or Vasquez took a big step this year. You feel like it was a successful season. I feel like you've learned nothing from this season. We're back. We took a step back from 2022. That's how it feels like. So I don't know what to really say. And Severino feels like the embodiment of that because he's no longer the pitcher he was a year ago.
I mean, a lot of guys are following Severino's kind of path here. I mean, Stanton's been seeing a huge regression. DJ LeMahieu's a shell of himself. Donaldson's been a shell of himself. Like, there's very few players that are actually maintaining their quality. Like, Rizzo's been pretty consistent for the most part. Gleyber Torres has been one of our more consistent players. I mean, like, Bader's been good when he's been healthy. I mean, Judge obviously has been great when he's been healthy, but there's not many. There's like the pinnacle of consistency is Garrett Cole. Every year the guy is good. Every year the guy is good to great. It's unfortunate that guys just are unable to do that. Like, maybe they should kind of follow what Garrett Cole does a little bit closer. I mean, Clark Schmidt's been kind of following in his footsteps, trying to get his pitches down, and we've seen him have good performances and then bad ones. But right now the Yankees, it's kind of like the perfect storm. Everyone that could have taken a big step forward back did. Everybody. Now the question is, we saw what happened last year, right? There's the only hope that I have is that the Yankees were the best team in baseball during the first half of the 2022 season. The second half of the year, they were god awful. Is there an argument to make that they could flip the script there? Like, they're really bad in the first half, and for what it's worth, the Yankees are still over 500. Like, they're a good team on paper. The record's still fine. They're just in a really competitive division, and their team is not good enough to be up on bad teams. But is there an argument to make that the Yankees could flip the script, get some guys healthy? Rodon comes back, gets a little bit more juice left in the starting rotation. Bader's kind of, gives him a week off. Some guys that need the rest, need to rehab. They come back strong and ready to go. Like, that's kind of the argument I would say is like, that's my silver lining twist. That's my hope, my prayer. But Severino, man, like, there's an argument to make that if he continues doing what he's been doing, he needs to be dropped from the rotation. That's the suckiest thing we could possibly have fathomed going into this season, because we thought he was a top 3, top 4 guy on this team in the rotation. We thought he would be one of the more consistent arms. He came off, Tommy John as an excellent pitcher last year, and it sucks to see the regression, but it happens, and we're going to have to move on after this year, whether he picks it up or not. So we'll see, guys. Hopefully he turns it around. Hopefully a lot of these guys turn around after the All-Star break. But before that, we have a 3-game series against Chicago Cubs, and we got Rodon here tonight in the Bronx, and hopefully putting together a really good performance. And we'll get a little look at one of those guys, Ryan, that you've been talking about lately, in Cody Bellinger. See if maybe he might be a good guy. Maybe beats up on us a little bit, and we try to steal him from the Cubs. We'll see what happens, my friends. But as always, make sure to like and subscribe, drop your comments below, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.